Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Art of the Possible, Putting the Microsoft Power Platform into Action for State and Local Government. My name is Petra I. Miller, Marketing and Business Development Manager at AKA and HSO Company, and I'll be moderating the presentation. Before we get started, I just wanted to quickly run through a couple of housekeeping notes. Close any programs running other than GoToWebinar. Use one monitor for the webinar. If you experience any visual or audio issues, please contact GoTo at support.longmeaninc.com/GoToWebinar/contact us. It's right there on the screen. Lastly, if you experience any issues, please don't worry. This webinar is being recorded, and we will send you the recording in the next few business days. Next, I wanted to point out the questions pane of the control panel in the upper right corner of your screen. Using the functionality, you can ask questions at any time during the presentation. We'll do our best to answer them at the end of the session. If we don't get to your question, we will follow up with you after the presentation. Next, we'll cover the agenda. Today, we're going to tackle the Microsoft Power Platform, about AKA and HSO Company, Power BI plus Business Intelligence Deep Dive, exploring what's possible with SLG use cases, Power Apps Deep Dive, exploring what's possible with SLG use cases, licensing options and quick start resources, Power Platform proof of concept, and then we'll close out again with the Q&A. Today's session will be presented by John Nelson, Dynamics Technical Solutions Specialist at Microsoft, Greg Pastorello, Sales Director for SLG at AKA and HSO Company, Mike Hammonds, Director of Business Intelligence at AKA and HSO Company, and Alejandro Ocasio, Functional Solution Architect at AKA and HSO Company. Now I'd like to hand it off to John. John?
Thanks, Petra. My name is John Nelson. I'm a technical specialist with Microsoft, focused on our business applications platform. As I kind of jump into this introduction, I first wanted to talk about some of the demands that are coming on our IT departments. And really it comes to this app gap challenge. The idea here is that our IT departments are currently spending the majority of their time focusing on the core line of business applications within the department. Now, of course, that's a great place to spend their time, but the problem is that these applications keep building up as backlog, that keep causing problems and making our businesses think that we're not necessarily being attentive. So the goal here is, as these applications grow, how are we going to address that overall need? Next slide. So when we talk about the benefits of low-code, no-code development, really it's trying to address these overall application backlogs that we have, addressing some of those core line of business solutions for rewrites, addressing some of the legacy debt. The goal here is really to have that increased development agility, to be able to focus on those applications, to get them built quickly, to have that speed and savings to make sure that they're delivered not only on time, but actually under budget, and to kind of have a reusable platform to make that happen. And then finally, to efficiently kind of meet those overall business needs. One other comment on this one is the idea of citizen developers. This is the idea that our business groups can actually go ahead and start building their own applications on top of the platform to start addressing the needs of those, of that app gap that we have going on. Next slide. When we look at the areas that we really want to focus on, these seem to be the core areas that seem to be impacted and seem to be helped by low-code, no-code development. Specifically, we're talking about that backlog, as I've already mentioned, but also paper-based processes. With the world of COVID, we've all had to go to work from home types of scenarios. Paper-based processes do not work well in those scenarios, so the idea of taking those paper-based processes and automating them becomes a very important element to move forward. Similarly, we have the idea of accelerating some of the digital innovation and transformation. This is the idea of taking a lot of our existing IT investments, whether it be investments in Microsoft like Office 365 and Dynamics and Azure, or third-party capabilities, and really bringing them all together into a cohesive development platform that you can then leverage as a part of low-code, no-code. Let's go to the next slide. So when we start looking at where governments are really focused in low-code, no-code development, it's really in these three main areas. One is the ability to kind of better interact with citizens. This is everything from portals and chatbots and better integration, things that they would expect out of regular businesses, they're starting to expect out of our government agencies as well. Similarly, we want to enhance those government services. These are all those back-end processes. This is those automations. This is the removal of those paper-based processes to really make sure that things are running smoothly and that we have an auditable trail to actually add transparency back out to the citizens. And then finally, we want to modernize the workspace. We all recognize that that work from home capability is something that's really necessary. The idea that you can work from anywhere becomes very important. The idea that it's part of your computer or part of your laptop, and it's all tied back to your identity within your organization. Let's go to the next slide. So when we start looking at the Power Apps in government, it's really about looking at it from a complete platform standpoint. There's already lots of investments that people have in Office 365, SharePoint, OneDrive, Exchange, but also in other capabilities around Azure and movement to the cloud, whether it be AWS or Azure or other types of infrastructure. It's the on-prem connectivity that's also really important. So when we start looking at that connected platform, we're talking about third-party capabilities, not just the Microsoft ecosystem, and the ability to actually integrate with those 350 plus different solutions that may be out there. Finally, we want to focus on innovation. The idea here is being able to have a solution that really falls across all of our different investments to basically pull them all together into line of business solutions. Next slide. So this is, now we're looking at really what is the Power Platform, the different pieces and components. And really the key elements here is that these are Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents with underpinnings that include artificial intelligence with AI Builder, the Common Data Service, which is a database platform with metadata to help manage and control the low-code environment. We also have portals capabilities for citizen-facing solutions, and then finally the data connectors, which really brings all of this together to really make sure that it's tied together with Office 365, Azure, Dynamics 365, and those standalone applications. All in all, we're really talking about a cohesive set of different services that kind of help to glue together all of the different elements within your organization. With that said, I'm going to hand it back to Petra and do a quick poll question.
Great, thank you so much, John. Now, if any questions came up for you during that first section, please ask them using the Q&A functionality in the control panel on the side of your screen, and I'll just launch that quick poll test question. Please just take a minute to answer this poll. Really just go with your gut. Your first response, select that one. We just want to get a feel for where the audience is at in their current situation, their current environment, and we will go through the responses to this poll at the end of the session to kind of give everybody an idea of where the pain points are, where the biggest need is really. Thank you so much, everyone, for your responses. Again, we'll review those at the end of the session. And now I will hand it off to Greg Pastorello. Greg?
Fantastic. Thank you, Petra. Good morning and good afternoon to everybody on the call, wherever you may be. My name is Greg Pastorello. I'm the sales director here at HSO for our state and local government vertical. I wanted to give you all a quick, brief introduction to who HSO is, maybe 2 minutes before I turn it over to my colleagues. So HSO is a global Microsoft implementation partner. We've actually started in 1987. We started on an old ERP system called Bond, no longer with us today, but we do have a long history and experience with these enterprise systems. By 1998, we were a leading Bond systems integrator. That poll was by Gartner. But then fast forward to about 2002, and this little known company called Microsoft decided to release ERP and CRM systems, formerly known as Microsoft Dynamics AX and Microsoft Dynamics CRM. What we'll talk about later today is Microsoft Dynamics 365 and that Power Platform. But when Microsoft released these products, HSO decided to shift our focus on implementing only these Microsoft applications right around that 2002 timeframe. We've been implementing since then. It's some of the earliest releases of Dynamics in their ERP and CRM platform. So we've been happy to announce that we've been with Microsoft since around that 2002 mark, being in that inner circle and winning a number of Microsoft awards throughout that process. Now I want to jump to 2016, which was another changing point for us as an organization. This is when Microsoft actually released their cloud version of their ERP and CRM applications and put it all onto one platform, which is Dynamics 365. Included in that is the Power Automate, Power BI, and the analytics that we get from this Power Platform that we're talking about today. So right around that 2016 timeframe, we actually decided to shift focus again. While we still do our ERP and CRM implementations, we added a whole new division to really focus on this Power Platform, Power BI, analytics, and data. we really wanted to enhance our capabilities and really become that full Microsoft partner for our clients. And we believe that this really allows us to do that. So we're happy to be getting into this subject with you all today because we really believe in this Power Platform built on the Dynamics 365 platform where we are. Then we'll fast forward another 4 years to where we are today. Actually, like I said, HSO started as a global company, but about 2 months ago, we actually acquired an additional North American firm to help expand our North American capabilities, which is AKA Enterprises. AKA is now part of HSO, and we will be referring to ourselves as HSO North American Company, but we are now AKA an HSO company. What this really allows us to do is focus on our North American implementation practices, building out, again, that data analytics Power Platform team. And as you can see here, we love this acquisition from an HSO perspective because they are the exact same organization as we are, focused solely on the Microsoft platform, in business for over 30 plus years, implementing CRM and AX since the same time frame, roughly 2001, 2003, 2002 for HSO globally. And then, of course, expanding our SLG practice here in North America. We might be one of the larger partners in the state and local government area when it comes to being that full Microsoft partner. And again, really focused 100% on the Microsoft platform. And that's kind of our mantra here at HSO, and really focusing on the Microsoft platform. And then if we could go to the next slide, just kind of focusing in on what we do when it comes to the Microsoft Power Platform. You know, I've alluded to it, we've done ERP, CRM implementations, but, you know, really what we're focusing on today is that digital transformation starting with this Power Platform. And really what it does is it's combining this business applications built on Dynamics 365, adding in all of these cloud services, Azure infrastructure, modern workplace, a lot of buzzwords that you hear in the world today, and especially around the Microsoft team. And we really package that all into one specific area. And we as a Microsoft partner are able to deliver on all of these specific areas and help you as a client reach your goals of digital transformation within your organization. So with that, I want to go ahead and turn it over to my colleague, Mike Hammonds, who's going to be starting off our discussion with Power BI and some business intelligence. Mike?
Awesome, thank you. And thank you everybody for joining. I am Mike Hammonds. I'm the Director of the Business Intelligence and Analytics practice here at AKA an HSO company, or HSO. So we're gonna just cover a little bit and focused on the business intelligence aspects of the Power Platform. And that really all centers around the application called Power BI. You know, it's now the analytics platform for Microsoft. And you know, in addition to the kind of the capabilities that you see here, you get tremendous benefit. Right, easy to use means you don't need data scientists to create reports and get insights into your data. Fast to deploy means it doesn't take months to see value, and that's something that constituents definitely love. Actionable insights that can use Power Automate or Workflow Engine to monitor the reports and recommend actions and make notifications so that you don't have to constantly monitor the reports. Things like data refreshes that are automatic, so we can connect to multiple different data sources and turn on the ability to automatically go out and refresh the data from those sources into these reports and analytics capabilities. Basically, that means there's really not a huge integration effort required. That's also another one that constituents love, low cost. So lowest in the market, as a matter of fact. So very inexpensive to acquire and to deploy. And the other biggie is it runs on government cloud. So it is highly secure. And speaking of flexibility, you know, I'm gonna run through a few examples here of how we can use Power BI for state and local governments. And we're gonna start with one that's pretty big, CAFR, right? Or Comprehensive Annual Financial Reporting, right? And publishing your CAFRs are really important. A lot of people already do that today, but most often they're in PDFs, right? And PDFs just are not user-friendly. People don't like to go to the website, try and hunt for them, find them, download them, and then open them and then read through them. It's great that we do that, but it's just not that user-friendly. They're also not searchable, right? So you can't find and search for particular information that you're looking for. And according to best practices, publishing your CAFR is a financial best practice. So we can move away from PDFs that are not user-friendly and not searchable, and also automate the time-consuming process that it normally takes to generate these PDF-based reports and allow people to then download them. Some of the other examples here and benefits that you get from just open data CAFR, right? I'll go a quick example. City of Stanton, California, recently passed a 1-cent sales tax in order to hire new deputies, right? And so they use transparency reporting, and in their CAFR reports, it allows them to publicly inform people how the city is spending that money, and they've seen that it helps maintain support for that tax, right? So good benefit there, right? Another example, City of Atlanta uses Power BI to report insights into public housing. The state of Ohio uses Power BI to kind of do their version of a CAFR report, which is what they call the online checkbook. It's part of their OpenGov initiative, where they report all of their expenditures to the state, and then that is all published on Power BI reports publicly. And in fact, a recent review said that Ohio is one of 5 organizations that have an A+ rating because of their openness. So very positive benefits for doing these types of things. One area where we've helped organizations is McHenry County. So I'm going to actually now jump into a couple demos here, and we'll go back and forth, show you a demo and talk about a use case or two. And so I'm going to show you the McHenry County version of it, and then we'll also show you another example to give you an idea of some of the capabilities that you have and how you can kind of create these reports. All right, so here I am on the public-facing website, so anybody can go to the McHenry County government website, and then after a couple of links, you'll be able to drill down to their financial dashboard. And so here you see the financial dashboard, and it is rendered in Microsoft Power BI. So once you generate your reports, these can be published and then put inside of existing websites. You can also allow things like being able to print them out, collect feedback, and allow customers to constituents to share and bookmark those links and reports. So I'm just going to expand this a little bit and run through a couple of examples here. So these are not just static reports, right? There are searchable if you want to turn on search, but you can also interact with reports. So I can kind of take a look at this particular category, right? I can expand and contract those. I can take a look at different ones. We can take a look and drill down further into details. So if we want to see what kind of expenses are and actuals against budget, we can do those things, right? So we can kind of just continue to drill down and narrow down these types of capabilities. So if I want to go back to the beginning, you can drill down deeply into this all the way down even to the transaction level if you want to allow people to do those types of things. Then we can flip to, say, another view and say I want to see expenses or revenue by category, right? So how does this, in this case, the county take in money, right? How are we going to get the money? And so you can see it's all broken out by different types of taxes, and then where do those taxes come from and what are they spent on, right? So this is part of that openness of being able to publish your financial information on side of websites. Now I'll go and I'll give you a different example here. So let's just collapse this back down. And I'll go to another example here. So this one, I just wanted to pull up to kind of give you an idea that you have really total control of the look and feel. And each of these that I'm going to demonstrate today, you'll see have very different looks and feels. So in this case, I've got now my tax revenues, non-tax revenues. I can select periods, time, whether or not I want to see adjusted for inflation or not adjusted for inflation, things along those lines. But maybe instead of a table view, I'm kind of more of a chart view kind of a person. I like to see visuals. Right, think about this: if I'm say a constituent or a citizen, and I want to be able to grab this and put this into a report, right, that I'm providing to somebody, or maybe even a journalist that's wanting to do those types of things. So you can then flip back between the two, or you can look at summary and detail views in kind of the same way, right? So just really great capabilities from being able to present the data in different ways. Let's talk about another couple of examples. One is around transparency reporting. And the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change has come out with a list of things that governments can do to help address climate change. Kind of similar to the Paris Accords, right? What can we do to lower greenhouse gas emissions? And so they came up with these different suggestions and ideas that could be implemented. And so one of the organizations that we work with is the City of San Jose. And similar to the CAFR reporting, they wanted to be able to take those recommendations and requirements and implement those at a city level, and then be able to provide the information on how well they're doing from a reporting perspective. Right? So that's just a couple of examples. Other areas that you can use this for, and we'll show a couple of examples, is things even beyond this types of financial reporting. It can be reporting around bridges and pavements. The big one today is COVID-19 reporting. You can do this at a city, a state, or national level even. How are our schools doing, right? Affordable housing, criminal case records, you name it. There's really no end to the types of reporting capabilities you can provide. And all of these ultimately are around providing good governance, right? Open and transparency, performance oriented, right? How are we doing against goals? Accountability, are we spending the money appropriately, right? That's all centered around good governance. So let's take a look at a couple of these examples. So we're going to flip over and we're going to start with the climate smart initiatives. And so this is their particular homepage. And we can come in and maybe take a look at how are they doing from a mobility perspective. So these are the kind of the strategies that they've laid out. And now they want to focus on energy, right? Household energy use. They want to increase local renewables, renewable energy in general, make more walkable friendly cities, improve water quality, improve economy. But let's just take a look at how some of the goals are for household energy use. And so as we kind of see the details here, you see your actuals. So we've got historical data, and then electricity use versus natural gas use, right? And then what the goals are over time. And so you can actually, just like we did earlier, can expand and contract those. If I then want to take another look, we can go look at, say, how are we doing with local renewables? And then we see a different report specific to our local renewables. And in this case, we've got an extra page, and you can just kind of page through those particular details. In this case, this is using Esri data, right? A lot of you are probably familiar with the Esri charts and Esri data. And so this is just an Esri map that is built inside of Power BI, and it uses that data and those mapping capabilities to be able to, again, publicly put those on your website or use them internally as well. Right? And then you can see maybe some gas house emissions. So how are we doing from a city perspective? And then again, here we are from a fleet perspective, and then we can jump to any others. How are we doing from a building perspective, from a waste perspective, right? Things along those lines, or how's the community doing, right? So we're able to track it at both the city level and the community level. And then I mentioned earlier one about affordable housing, right? And being able to do and track affordable housing. So this one's on the City of Atlanta website. And so we'll just expand this one out. And you can kind of see here, they're allowing constituents to go in and see how money is being spent to improve access to and take advantage of affordable housing, right? So these are just their details. And again, it's interactive, so you can use those capabilities. Or we can just kind of flow through the application, right? So here's all of the affordable units that are available. Here's how much we're using in public funds, where the greatest usages are. And then you can even drill down by different types of projects, right? And where and how that money is being spent, and the types of people, what stages they're on, where the funding sources are coming from, all kinds of transparent information that really gives people, the benefit of seeing those spent and how they're being spent, and then being able to access that information. So let's take a look at a couple of more examples here. And this is around data-driven policies, right? So what do I mean by that? Whether you're looking to address poverty, increase economic opportunity, improve education, healthcare, it really starts around using data to drive those decisions, right? We need to move away from just historical looking backwards reporting and look more forward looking, and using that data to impact those decisions and make better decisions. So we can, assess the programs, right? Are they being beneficial or not? Should we spend those dollars somewhere else where we'll get bigger impact, right? That's what drives the budgets. We should lower budgets in some areas if they're not being effective, increase them in others. Implementation oversight, just like in the housing authority. Are those different projects working, right? Are they improving the outcomes? And then finally, we want to then be able to narrow in on the different types of programs that we're spending constituent dollars on. So a few other examples that I'm going to provide here in that. One is around reducing crime rates and racial disparities, right? So one municipality was able to take data from their criminal justice system using machine learning and artificial intelligence that's part of the Power Platform, and it helps enhance judges' decisions. And what they found is it's been helping judges reduce crime and jail rates because the judges have more informed reporting, right? Beautiful thing, right? More impact to the community, fewer people in our jails, and reducing crime at the same time. Another one is linking the spending by encouraging diversity and higher education in poor areas. So in this example, income tax records were overlaid with housing records and health and education records, which showed that by encouraging diversity in poorer parts of the city, the community benefited from both higher education outcomes and increased life expectancy. Get that word out, right? So that's how you can take advantage of data and then use it to improve those decision-making processes. And then another one was also around crime. And what this one found is by matching data between schools, unemployment insurance, and court records, they were able to mash up that data, and it showed that increasing spending on summer youth programs actually decreased crime and improved school test scores. So pretty amazing outcomes there. Right. So again, just from a Power BI perspective, we saw benefits, but what are some benefits just from a fact-based policy perspective, right? We can lower healthcare costs, reduce the negative impacts of drug use, right? Focus resources on the right areas where we're seeing high usage, improving worker programs, right? Making them impactful, helping people find better housing and better access to schools, and helping children perform better in schools. Right? So here's kind of an example of where we've got another organization that's using both the power of data-informed decisions and this marrying and mashing up of data to, for example, focus on livability, right? So we can drill into the details. And you'll see this too is a Power BI report, but notice that it has a completely different look and feel to it. Again, you know, you have essentially pixel perfect capabilities of laying out, in this particular case, these are scorecards, right? And, you know, we've got 91% of goals that are being met for our street and sidewalk cleaning, or, you know, here's how many graffiti service requests we've had. So it's taking data, these are all data from different sources in different departments, and being able to display that data on publicly facing websites, but more importantly, also being able to use that internally. So there's our public health information and things along those lines. So really great, fantastic ways to take advantage of the Power BI platform and the analytics that come from your data, right? This is your data that can result in these types of capabilities. So we'll touch on now, you know, how do we get access to all that data, right? It's challenging. Multiple silos of data, old systems, new systems, data in spreadsheets, data in text files. It's all over the place, right? And that's where data lakes come into play. And for those of you that aren't familiar with a data lake, kind of think of it as this little graphic or this picture here, right? You've got data that comes in from different areas, right? Those are the streams that come in. And then when you dam up a river or tributaries, you get this lake formed, right? And so think of the lake as where all that data gets commingled, and now you can start to use it to create data sets where you can run your analytics, right? So the incoming streams are just unorganized data, social media data, applications for multiple data sources, social media, PDFs, things along those lines. And then it gets combined in the central reservoir, which allows us to use that data to make those informed decisions. So for those of you that are kind of a little more techie, this is an example of a state government that developed an integrated data lake, right? So here's all their incoming streams on the left-hand side, right? They were kind of all collected inside of a data lake in their raw forms, which gives us now a central location, do some mapping, some merging, and some additional cleansing, plus adding additional data to enhance it. And then once we have that data, you know, we can then even de-identify it, right? If it's court records and public health records, we don't want the people seeing actual names. We just want to use the data behind it. And then that's where we generate our reporting data marts, which then allows us to post those publicly and use those internally. Right? So let me show you just a quick example of what that looks like on the back end, and then how do you connect to that data. So this one's really definitely a lot more techie oriented. So in this case, I'm in my Microsoft Azure portal, and I've opened up my Azure Data Lake. This is just the name I gave it. And what you'll see here is in this section here, is that I've got this ability to store data, whether it's in containers, right? You can have different departments put their data in there. The text files, the CSV files, even PDF files can be stored in here and then used as data sources. Tables like SQL Server and things along those lines, and Oracle and old databases, and then queues to pull that data in and automate all that information. And then the way that you go and connect to that data is once it's in your data lake, I'm now in the Power BI desktop application, and it's very simple to go in and get data. You just click on more. These are all the different sources that you can connect to. But once it's in a single data lake, it's very easy to just go pick the data lake, connects to it, and then what we'll have is you just plug in your URL to where it resides and hit connect. And now it's going to show me all the different tables and fields that are in that big, huge lake that I can now take advantage of. So if I wanted to see all of the different data sources that I can now collect in that one place and then update them in that one place, I can now create my reports from those. All right, so very simple and easy to do once you've got everything all set up. So with that, I'm now going to turn this over to my colleague Alejandro to take you through some of the Power App examples. So Alejandro, take it away.
Thank you, Hammond. Hi, everybody. My name is Alejandro. I'm a solution architect here at AKA, and I'm going to be talking to you all about Power Apps and some use cases around that for state and local governments. So jumping right into it, using the Power platform, you have the ability to create those low-code, no-code solutions to put the power into your citizens' hands. This platform will allow you to offer a 24/7 self-service option for submitting issues and allowing your client or your citizens to get the information that they need. The Power platform will save your organization time and will be able to manage resources across multiple touch points. And even with connectors, you can centralize your resources and data, no matter what system you're using today, whether that's SAP or Oracle. That way, you and your team can have the most up-to-date data when you need it. Building trust is hard to do in any relationship, but with Power Platform, you will be able to accomplish this trust with your citizens by superior customer service. This platform can improve your citizens and be more self-sufficient utilizing that Power Platform around portals and virtual agents. Now with Power Portals, it is a custom tailored site that you can deliver quick and informed resolutions to help drive self-service. In this day and age, everybody wants their data now, and they don't want to have any human interaction. So with the virtual agents, you'll have that ability to extend the Power Platform and respond rapidly to your citizens' needs using an intelligent bot. All of this can be done without writing one line of code and having the security, trust, and support of Microsoft. Giving your employees more power and less applications is key to an efficient organization. With the Power Platform, your employees will be able to respond to service cases without having to navigate to another application. This allows employees to stay connected at any time and anywhere using native integrations with the Microsoft stack. Some of these key integrations are SharePoint, Outlook, Office 365. And due to the design and the power of the Power Platform, employees are able to be more mobile and agile while promoting organization collaboration to speed up resolution. And with data at your fingertips, you'll be able to make informed decisions with a clear understanding of your citizens' expectations. The Power Platform allows you to shift from a reactive to a proactive approach when addressing your citizens' needs. You'll be able to send surveys to your citizens, which will allow you to collect direct feedback so you can improve and streamline your processes. And in today's world, social awareness is key for every organization. With the Power Platform, you'll be able to increase transparency, raise citizen awareness by engaging with your citizens through social media. So let's take a journey and be a concerned citizen named Dawn. Dawn has noticed a pothole has formed close to where she lives and would like to report this issue. With the Power Platform portals, she has the ability to navigate on her smartphone to a local government site and request a new service ticket. Dawn fills out some basic information about where and what the issue is, and even has the ability to upload photos of the issue. After Dawn hits submit, a new service case is created in the Power Platform, and an agent is assigned to it automatically. Utilizing the Power Platform, the agent is able to see the information about the case and even review the photos without going to an additional system. After the case has been reviewed, an agent has the ability to dispatch a work order to review and fix this issue. And after completion, this service case, we can send a notification to Dawn, and Dawn would be able to log into the portal and review the completed job as well as completed work photos. The Power Platform, with the Power Platform, everything from the portal to work order is stored and managed in one application. Now let's take the view of Mark, who is a field service tech and is repairing the actual pothole. With the Power Platform, government agencies have the ability to dispatch work orders to field service techs like Mark. Mark has that ability to use his mobile or even tablet device to see the work order assigned to him for that day. And the Power Platform can actually give him directions to the jobs as he works his way around the city. When Mark gets done when Mark gets to the job site, he has the ability to see Dawn's photos of the issue and can review notes associated with that actual work order. After completing the repair, Mark has the ability to take photos and close out the job right from his device. And with the Power Automate, workflows can be kicked off based on the completion of this job, and which can be triggered, notifications can be triggered to key people like Dawn or even that customer service agent. And after Mark is done here and uploading that actual photo or invoice, that can go into the financial system, which an issuement of payment can be going out, and we can close that case quicker and reducing those overhead as well as gaps. So here's a real life example that we have today that we've done. And in this world, you know, in today's world, you need to be able to adapt to changes. And there's no bigger challenge than for organizations than like 2020. With the Power Apps, you have that ability to create applications with that no code, low code approach, which is what we at AKA did for contract tracing around the COVID pandemic. With this app, organizations have the ability to configure locations and zones within their office. This allows employees to easily report on their whereabouts as they move from conference room to conference room. This app also keeps privacy in mind, so HR has the ability to see employees' whereabouts within the application, but no other user can. Also, the HR staff has the ability to alert employees based on positive test results in order to contact the right individuals. So let's jump in the system. Let's actually see COVID app that we've built for contract tracing. So if you notice here, actually, let me do that. As you can see here, we have the mobile app. I'm kind of just faking it here with a browser, but if you notice, it's a survey and it's a questionnaire going through and saying, hey, have you received a positive COVID test in the last 14 days? And if you do, you can hit yes. And then have you come in close contact? As well, you can see here as I'm filling this out, it's even asking me for my temperature and when was the temperature that I had. So I could say I have 109, and I can say that also when was the last date of my temperature taken, and I can say today too as well. This app, if you notice, from the UI perspective and everything along those lines, it took us a week just to build this app. And that's quick in terms of being able to knock out those backlog items. You can see here we can check in with any conference room that's available to us. And this is actually pulling from Office 365. So that native integration with Office is being shown here with this actual app. And at the same time, you can see that when I click on the COVID icon here at the bottom, I do have that ability to say for my test results too as well, when I first started seeing symptoms, as well as when my test date was and if I tested positive. Now in the background, you can see that I have a model-driven app, as it's called in Power Apps. And this, I like to say, is the foundation of Power Apps. This is where you are able to create your tables, as well as your relationships, your fields, your views, and be able to showcase this from a list view And you can see here that we're on this check-in dashboard, and we can see all the current check-ins. We can also see our weekly check-ins is going up. And then if we scroll down here too as well, we have currently checked in per room. So I can see that we have a threshold of 10 in the 69th floor north meeting room, and 3 people are checked in at this point. So all this information is being driven off of that app, but it's here stored in this model-driven app for us to be able to see this from Power Platform. So jumping back to the presentation here, I want to talk about that paper, right? John mentioned earlier that 37% of paperwork is still happening today. Well, for this use case, we're going to talk about form recognition using Azure Blob Storage and the Power Platform. Every day we're faced with processing documents and files, and most of the time it's a manual process of inputting this information from the file to the application. With Azure Blob Storage, we have created a process that will trigger when an email is received with an attachment. The Power Platform has that ability to extract this file, read the file using form recognition, and then after Azure has identified the actual document, Power Automate has the ability to post this document details into a CRM or ERP system for further processing. Now this can be set up to read any document file. So think outside the box with this solution, such as processing permit forms or even event registration forms. So looking at this, what are the benefits of actually having invoice processing? So overall benefit of this would be reducing that manual entry required to process documents today. Being able to also kick off that automation too as well, and sending that information to key systems or even triggering workflows such as notifications based on a status change. Also centralizing the storage of your documents into a document management repository helps to organize your documents into one location so that you no longer will have your users searching their inbox for key documents. They now can go to a SharePoint or something along those lines and be able to search for that information. Another key benefit would be being able to actually validate real documents. Today's level of threat out there around security, with this actual form recognition, we have that ability to validate real documents and give that extra level of security and help reduce that fraud. Plus, with this document processing tool, we have the ability to save trees, right? And reduce the one thing we all trying to avoid, which is paperwork. So let's go ahead and see this invoice processing. Now with invoice processing here, 1 second, there we go. With this invoice and processing app, you have that ability to have an actual invoice come into your inbox, and then from that be extracted out into this Power app. And you'll notice this Power app actually has a preview over here on the left-hand side. We have the ability to zoom in on this, get some additional information. We can see that it's been validated already for us. We have a confidence score of 80%. We can see all of the information that's already in our CRM system, and we can add additional information to it if we'd like to, such as comments. And then the other thing too as well is we can do that advanced edit. If you notice here, as soon as I click on this advanced edit, it's actually going to take me to my Power Platform instance and allow me to actually make the changes that I need in order to maybe change different information around based off of what was sent over in the invoice perspective. So all of that is linked together here for you in a one-stop shop, so you don't have to go from one application to the next. Now the best thing about it too as well, with Microsoft's dedication to Teams, we have the ability to actually embed this in Power Apps into Teams. So now no longer will you have to go to a browser and open up an application. You can actually just work out of Teams completely. You'll have your calendar here, you have your chat, but then also at the same time, you can see here, Power Apps is now embedded into Teams. So you can run these apps, even the COVID-19 app. Maybe if you want them to check in, through Teams, they have that ability to do that right from Teams and run that Power App. Yeah, and then what we're going to do now is we're going to kick it back. Petra, I think you're going to take it from here, and we're going to go over the poll questions, I believe.
Yep, just wanted to quickly share the results of that poll that we asked you at the beginning of the call. If you, in your investigation of low-code, no-code platforms, where do you see the biggest need within your government? As you can see, the majority of folks are split evenly between paper-based processes and digital transformation, which is very interesting to me, with the remaining 16% saying that legacy debt is the biggest need. So with that in mind, again, if that brings up any questions, please ask them using the question pane on the right-hand side. I just want to hand it back over to John to talk about the licensing and quick start resources available for Power Platform. John?
Thanks, Petra. This is John Nelson. I'm back. I'm going to talk a little bit about licensing and some additional resources. Let's go to the next slide. So from a licensing perspective, there are several different ways to kind of get started in the platform. And really, this kind of addresses a little bit of a crawl, walk, run scenario. What that means is basically the per app licensing is a great way to get started. You can do singular apps, small applications, a small set of licenses to kind of get started and get familiar with it. As you move to kind of branching out and you have additional licensing needs, or you want to expand throughout your entire organization, you can look then to the per user licensing, which would then gives you unlimited applications running off of a single license. And then finally, there's the capacity-based add-ons. And this is really the ability to kind of run with the overall application development, meaning people already are licensed, you have the core capabilities, you may need additional storage or additional portal capability, or possibly add things like virtual agents or AI Builder to your overall solutions. So really, these are the three categories, really moving from per app to per user and then capacity-based add-ons. Next slide. When we start talking about getting started resources, one, if you need additional information on licensing, there's definitely details on that, and we have the licensing guides here. In addition to that, you can also go out to our Microsoft Learn site. The Microsoft Learn site isn't just for the Power Platform, although we have specific links to those particular elements, but the Microsoft site is aka.ms/learn, L-E-A-R-N. The link is here. We'll be providing that to you as well. But the idea is there's great resources. There's modules that can be done, learning paths to really teach you on how to build solutions on the Power Platform. For those folks that are more interested in kind of managing the process, in other words, managing both citizen developers, expansion of the platform, building of applications, the Center of Excellence is a great way to kind of oversee the overall adoption, administration, and governance of your investment in the Power Platform. Finally, we want to talk about some of the templates that are available. These are free templates. There's those that are actually in the applications, but also ones outside that you can actually use as kind of getting started guides. Both ones for Office, there's actually one for Return to Workplace, and then there's of course additional ones that address kind of common scenarios that you might have for employees. With that said, I'm going to hand it back to Greg to wrap things up.
Yeah, thanks, John. And very quickly, kind of wanted to make you all aware of some offerings that HSO North America has out there. And actually, it's how we've created most of the apps that we've shown you today. We actually have this Power Platform proof of concept, which follows the Microsoft IDEA framework. And what it really is it's about a 5 to 10 day engagement with you and your key decision makers, where we go through envisioning what you're looking for in your application, then go through an assessment, then of course we build it out and show you the proof of concept and look at how we can roll it out to your organizations. As I said, this was how we created a number of the apps that we showed you today in this webinar, and we'll be sending out this collateral as a follow-up to this webinar. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Petra for any questions, and we'll be spending the last 10 minutes answering any of those questions. Thank you all.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Greg. Thank you to all of the presenters for that very informative session. So now, as Greg said, with the time left, we are going to answer any questions that you guys have. So please use that questions functionality in the control panel to type them in. And I will take the opportunity to go ahead and address the ones that have come in so far. Are you guys ready? Presenters, are you ready?
Yes.
Ready.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we've got per use license allows to use Power Apps using CDS, question mark? It's probably
Yes,
good job.
that is. Yeah, that's for me. Yes, that's absolutely correct. In fact, actually, the per app license also allows you to use the common data service as well. Both the per app license and the per user license have the same capabilities for use of the platform. Just one is focused on a single app. The other one is for unlimited apps.
Thank you, John. All right, we have a couple of other ones in here. Okay, the next one, how affordable are Microsoft Azure data lakes?
Mike here, I'll take that one. We say it's very affordable. But to give you kind of a comparison example, you're normally talking about a factor of 10 to 1 lower cost than a traditional SQL Server and even probably double that if it's an Oracle database. And that's simply because there's so many maintenance fees involved, and just CPU fees, and then end user client access fees. So what we typically see, if a SQL server costs you roughly about $1,000 a month to run, your Azure data lake with similar size and yet slightly better performance will be in that $100 range. So very significant cost savings are available through data lakes.
Great, thank you, Mike. All right, another one here. How rapidly can you deploy these COVID-19 Power Apps?
So I'll take that one. It's already pre-built. We can, you can reach out to us and we can help you deploy that. I mean, it's something of an import to an export of a solution. So really, it's just a wizard. There is some configuration that does need to happen, but overall, I mean, it's a quick deployment.
We have a comment here. Thank you, and I look forward to the recording. I especially found it interesting with Power BI on Teams to do invoices. So just a commentary there. That's great. I'm so glad that was helpful. Next question: how easy is it for Power Apps, Power BI, Power Automate, etc., to access an AWS-based data lake?
I can certainly answer from an analytics business intelligence perspective. There is an AWS connector, and so it is literally as easy as pulling up your Power BI desktop, using the one that says AWS, and connect to it, type in your credentials, and you can access any data that's sitting in AWS.
Awesome, great.
Yeah, from a Power Apps perspective too as well, the same connector can be utilized for a Power App or Power Automate in order to consume more SIM data.
Awesome. Thank you. As a reminder, if you have any questions, you can type them in using the control panel on the right-hand side. And we just got a thanks for the answer on that, guys. Thank you for that. Any other questions from the audience? I'll give you guys another couple minutes. If you can want to go ahead and advance to the next slide, please, Alejandro. If any additional questions come up as you take this away and listen to the recording again, I'll be sending out the recording in the next few business days, as well as a copy of the slides. So you'll have access to those links that we shared, especially the Quick Start resources and all of that educational material that John spoke about, one of which I already put in the chat, but again, the link will be in the PDF version of the presentation I'll be sending out. So if any questions come up for you additionally, please reach out to me directly. It's peimiller@hso.com. And I'll be sure to make sure that the right person gets the question to answer it for you as promptly as possible. So we'll just leave it open for another couple minutes if anybody has any additional questions while we've got the experts on the line. Gentlemen, any final thoughts you want to share?
Thanks for joining us today.
Perfect. We have another question, a request for more information on the Esri mapping integration.
Certainly, if you'd like to contact Petra, we can certainly send you more links to details. But the bottom line is there is what's called a basic version that comes with the Power BI license. But within that, if you already have an Esri license and you're using that, then you can simply link that with your existing subscription to the Esri data. So there's some, it depends around that, but that's the basic net of that.
Thank you. We had a comment in here. Thank you, very informative. So kudos, guys. Any last questions, ladies and gentlemen? That I will close it out. Thank you everyone so much for joining us today, and thank you so much to the presenters for the excellent and informative session. Again, this was Art of the Possible, putting the Microsoft Power Platform into action for state and local government. Again, this session was recorded, and you will receive a follow-up email with a link to the recording and a PDF copy of the presentation to access those quick start links in the next few business days. Thank you again, and hope you have a great afternoon or a great morning or a great evening, wherever you happen to be.